Welcome to Conversations with Jen and Mel. This show is about real life with real people, having real conversations, from better health to mental health and more. Let's check out the conversation right now with your host, Jen and Mel.
Welcome to Conversations with Jen and Mel. We are continuing our discussion about youth and
training up tomorrow's leaders. Here we go. And so on the last episode, we talked a lot about different influences. We talked about the influence of TikTok and social media. We talked about them being void of spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
So void of spirituality. We talked about just assessing where we dropped the ball, and just a lot of other things. You really have to see the first episode. And so because we're talking about training up tomorrow's leaders so we can pass the baton, but we're passing the baton to a bunch of people who aren't financially literate.
Some of them.
So many of them, so folks think today they bank at Chime.
Well, I mean, the internet and banking is the way of the world. That's the world we live in. So yes, they do bank at Chime.
Bank at Chime.
And Cash App.
And Cash App.
That's their bank.
That's their bank.
Mm-hmm. But remember, they took, at least in Michigan, I don't know about across the country, but they took cursive out of schools for a while. So these kids don't even know how to sign their name if they went to a bank, into a bank.
Okay, so when they say, I need your print and then signature.
It's print and print because they don't know how to write in cursive. My children missed out on that.
Oh, wow. And so we're talking about life skills. And I think in one of the broadcasts I talked about, I was taking a young lady to an interview. And at this time, she was 18. She'd graduated from high school. And she came out she was going to an interview looking frumpy. When I say frumpy, I mean frumpy, clothes not clean, hair unkept. And so I took her to her first interview, and immediately the woman turned her away and told her she had too many interviews and she couldn't interview her. And so my next step was to take her to the beauty supply place. And let me get you a piece to go on your hair so you can put your hair together. And so she asked them, were they hiring? And they said, she's like, how do I fill out an application? They said, we only accept resumes. Now, this is a high school graduate. And she came to me and she said, very quietly, what's a resume? Mm-hmm. And so our children have so few life skills. It's so many things that we take for granted that they should know that they don't know. And now I'm talking about our children and our young adults. Mm-hmm. And so I have an entity that I'm doing business with right now, and their staff mates, those that work for them, just sign their legal documents with fluorescent pens. We had to send all the documents back because the scanner won't even pick up the fluorescent ink. But
so that was a thing when we came up. Mm-hmm. It had to be black.
Uh-huh.
They have updated to
blue or black now, yeah,
but not fluorescent.
Yeah, no, green, fluorescent, neon,
pink or red,
green.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, so scan the document. Let's see if we can get it in the printer because can we copy it in? No. The printer didn't even acknowledge that it existed. Now we've got this big commercial printer. It said, no, we're not scanning neon. And so there's so many conversations with our young people that we don't know we need to have. We don't know that they didn't learn how to fill out a job application appropriately in school. We don't know that. And COVID did us a real disservice. And so now we think we've got high school graduates when actually we have middle school.
Right.
And they've got big bodies, but they've only got the learning or got the education of middle school children. They've graduated with middle school educations, and we don't know this as adults. So we have not stopped to assess our young, and we're sending them out into the world when we don't realize that they're still in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
They graduated, got hats on in middle school.
Yeah.
High school diplomas in hand, but they're still stuck. They missed several years of education.
They did.
Yeah. And we don't know. And what we haven't noticed is that some of our children, they keep retreating to their rooms, and some of our children still have social anxiety.
Yes.
And we
a
just
lot of social anxiety.
a lot of social anxiety that has gone unaddressed, and we don't know why they won't leave the room, and we think they're always on that video game, and we don't understand that there's a root of why they're on that video game. It's not just those are my friends and those are my people, and no, sometimes there's a root behind that. It's because I'm scared of the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And so it's so much going on that, okay, hold on. And so we all just survived the pandemic. And so some of us have some children that have watched death happen all around them.
Mm-hmm.
And so then what happened was there was a spiral, because now we have people who are grieving all around us. So now we are surrounded by people who are depressed, who are angry. And so now it's happening around us. And so now you see death increasing and multiplying in different ways. So then we add the marijuana to a depressed and angry and a grieving people. And so more violence, more death, and all this is happening around our children. And we don't understand that sometimes our children are depressed.
That is true.
Our children are scared. Our children are hopeless because they're seeing death happen. The frailty of human life has been their reality, and they don't know how to address it. And so you find our children are taking on coping skills or doing things to escape reality. And meanwhile, we think they're just isolating. Mm-hmm. Or we think they're just angry or don't want to be bothered. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So our children, in order for our children to be the leaders that we need them to be, we're going to have to get back and put our hands back on. It's a young woman that I know, and I've been saying, I see that she needs mentoring in a way that's going to require somebody to make some sacrifices and draw her out of a place. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally tie her up and say, take her by the hand and say, I got you, and pull you. And God gave that to me. He was like, she needs 4 mentors. She needs people who are going to take an hour a week and pull her up out of a place but in every area of her life, there's deprivation. Mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially. In every area of her existence there's this lack. There's just complete poverty in every area of her existence.
All right.
And so she needs someone that's going to show her a glimmer of hope in order we got to go back and get our young people. We got to raise our young people all over again, and some of them don't even know they need it. And so in the past few years, I've located over to Muskegon County, so I'm back and forth, And what I realized, and that has been a whole thing, you find that the young people say, oh, I got to get out of here. Mm-hmm. Just to run back to here. I got to get out of here. because they think it's just simply a place. But understanding it's not just a place. And I'm saying that now there are some things spiritually that are working over there. Now, definitely. You know, every place has its own strongholds. Mm-hmm. There are some things at work that are spiritual, some principalities, and and so I understand that. But it's not so simple as I need to get out of here. And I keep taking me with me. Because the lessons I didn't learn here, I still haven't learned over there. So now they're in this vicious cycle of, I gotta go, I'm back. I gotta go, I'm back. When really, the adaptation or the change needs to happen within.
Within, yes.
Within. But we don't know, as human beings, we don't know what we don't know. And until we see something modeled, we just don't know. And the idea that our young people are watching us, I think sometimes we just don't get it. That they are modeling us.
Yes.
At some point, we become too old to exhibit certain behaviors and talk about we won't stand up babies.
Right.
I remember a time where the women were picky. If a mother was single, she'd be picky about who she'd bring home.
Yes.
That
if she brought them home.
If she brought them home. And if so, you didn't call them uncle. You didn't sit on their lap.
No.
You all didn't do a whole lot of engaging.
Right.
And so now we live in a day where they don't just bring them home, they move them in.
So that philosophy changed.
It changed.
That philosophy changed to let my child meet them earlier so that I don't get attached to the person and then find out after I'm already attached that there's an issue with my child don't like them or there's an issue. I'm just telling you what it changed to.
Oh. And so my child not liking my man.
So that's a whole discussion right there. How important is it that the child likes?
Oh, see, now you just put us on a whole. How important that my kid that don't like me most of the time don't like my man, because half the time the baby don't like me. So me tailoring my life and telling my man that I can't deal with you, which that's really gonna happen anyway. Now let's just tell the truth, shame the devil. And so the idea that my baby don't like you, so I ain't dealing with you. But the baby didn't speak to me 4 out of 5 days this week. I mean,
so that doesn't normally happen until they're teenagers.
No, that's not true.
The babies don't speak. Nothing. You're not gonna worry me today.
Look at you upside your head. They thinking,
how old are these babies?
5, 6.
The 6-year-olds don't speak.
5, 6. They look at you upside your head when they get in their moods. Or you didn't do what they wanted you to do.
These kids.
If you want to do what you want them to do, sometimes these babies just look at you like they waiting on you to do what they.
Okay.
They waiting on you to do what they asked you to do.
There is a school of thought, though, that believes that the child does, if the child don't like your man, it's a reason, and that should be a red flag for you.
Okay, so what if the child doesn't like the man? See, now we're on red flags. We done went to red flags again. We just did y'all see red flags? Y'all need to go back and check out red flags. Check out red flags. That was a good one too. So, but okay, so true story. The question is, then there becomes a why. It doesn't just simply become my kid got dog sense. You know? And so sometimes we don't like people for so many reasons.
That is true.
And sometimes it's not even directly related to that person. Sometimes that person reminds me of somebody that because of the tone of their voice, because of their appearance, and so the true story is some people remind us of people that actually they have a history with. Like, okay, so we have a client that my director, she reminds them of somebody that, I don't know, it was their mother or somebody. And so immediately they were mad at her. Immediately. Nah, she gonna take care of them, make sure she's gonna fight for them, fend for them. But because, her aggressiveness and her voice, it reminded them of an experience or someone that, so you just don't even know the root of that. Mm-hmm. Like, oh no, I sense, no, he ain't no good. No.
But hey, I'm just telling you what the people saying out there in the streets.
That the kids know. Yeah, girl.
You ain't never heard this before because you're looking at me like I'm an alien.
I've heard it.
Okay.
I've heard it.
Like, I didn't make this up.
I have really heard it.
This is what they're saying.
I've really heard it. All right. And normally they talking about is the babies. Like, like the babies, they cry when you go to one.
No, they're talking about, kids, period.
It's little kids.
Whether they 0 or they...
Yeah. I agree that in our innocence, our observation, but also, the Bible says, to the pure, all things are pure. So I think that even in cases where kids were mishandled or molested, or the kid didn't discern that situation, that kid was trained into that situation, and it happened, was groomed for years into that from the time that they were young, and never did that kid say, oh, well, it's something wrong about them. No, that kid, so, maybe in some instances that is true, but in so many instances, that kid was available, like emotionally attached, and I love you, you love me.
All right.
And so we talk about them knowing people. Sometimes it's true, but in other instances, it's not always true. Or you can't build your whole life around whether or not a kid that don't like themselves, don't like most people, don't like you and don't like them. Maybe the child doesn't like the fact that you leaving with them.
Yes.
Maybe the child doesn't like that, that they don't have your time or your attention. So that's a weighty conversation.
It is a weighty conversation. I'm just telling you, that's what's out there.
I remember my mother being single after my father was murdered. And I remember in my young years, that we wouldn't really get to meet her dates or nothing, but we'd be nosy. And we were up the stairs, and we'd be trying to figure out if she went out on a date. And in a dozen years, it had to have been maybe about, I can say about 4 or 5 people in a dozen years, because she had this one steady that she just keep. I don't know what that was, but anyway, so we didn't get a chance to meet them, and we won. But I remember my mother leaving at night, mm-hmm. Or going on a date, or going over her girlfriend's house to, and so I was home with my cousins. And so now if I hadn't had the kids at home and grandmama there, or somebody that was filling in that void, now because I see the image so clear in my head, You know? So what if I felt like they were taking my mom?
Mm-hmm.
Why would I like you?
I agree.
If every night you taking my mom. Now she done put me to bed. Shouldn't have been there all day. But at night she's gone. Just her absence. And so, okay, that's enough of that now. But still, yeah, I believe that in some cases it's true, but in many instances that's just not. It's the why. It's the why. And in most, it just got to be justifiable. I don't know. Now, I do believe in monitoring them, to figure out, okay, how do they act around them? What does that look like? And so paying attention to make sure that it's nothing, so, and that's in any relationship with our kids. That's an inner relationship with our kids, because, yeah. But how do we help our young people? Back to our topic, and how do we help them to be the leaders that they need to be in order to carry the baton, in order to be the leaders of tomorrow? What is it that we can do most to impact their lives? And so we're talking about even life skills. We were talking about our kids don't know how to cook. Our kids don't know how to wash. Our kids don't know how to write a check. And so, now I don't mean to be funny. Some of our kids think they wash until you see their clothes. They don't know that the yellows and the reds don't go together.
So I don't know if people still sort their clothes.
Well, you can always tell if they don't. Gia?
What?
Do you sort your clothes?
Well, I don't do the washing.
Oh.
But when I washed, I sorted clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did.
And so I'm with Jen.
I sorted clothes.
When I wash.
And the whites, tiles that got bleach and all that. I did all that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now they just get washed.
I think they...
Life skills. Life skills.
Look, no comment.
Life skills. And so, okay. Where did we learn how to go to an interview?
I don't know.
Where did we learn that you had to wear a certain attire? You had to look a certain way. You had to have a... Where did we learn that? Because apparently it's escaped the world today.
It definitely has escaped the world today.
And so my conversation with someone was, do you know that when they hire you, they're not hiring you simply to do a job. They're hiring you to represent them. And so you go into the job and you want to convince them that you're the one for the job.
The casualness that has taken over, people don't represent
anything.
I think that
they look like they just rolled out of bed.
Being able to wear pajama pants out in public and the whole bonnet thing.
Bonnets are not for public. Bonnets are not for public. They were for bed.
Neither are pajama pants.
Pajama pants are for... These are bedtime items. These are not decor for the public. They're bedroom. Night-night.
In your home.
In your home.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, how about teaching our young ladies that being a lady is more than just about being female? That it comes with a certain set of behaviors.
That definitely is a skill or character trait, or whatever you want to call it, that's lost.
And so you are not given as much grace as the men are to just
as much.
Yeah, to just
zero.
Yeah. to be raggedy out in these streets. So when you act a monkey out in these streets, it looks like you have not been parented. And I understand that we feel like, you know what is it again, on site, and what's the other one that they say, what did the president do? That's something that he was on business or something. He was standing on business. And I know we got all these cute, little sayings and quotes and cliches out here. But.
Okay, that was definitely in our generation. You knew that we were told a lot. You can't do what they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the following generation, though, is that still the case? Because I don't know that it is. I mean, the girls are definitely doing everything that the boys are doing. And trying to do it better. Matter of fact, they advertise that.
Okay. And so then I think that's what you attract.
Well, we know that.
And so, and so when we start dealing with them on that point about, okay, well, if you ratchet, you attract and ratchet, but you want more.
I don't think they know all the time or immediately that they want more. Everything now is about the party and the fun. We just casual.
Everything just casual.
Everything is casual.
Well, why they keep
wearing your pajamas out in public?
The relationship,
everything
is
just
casual.
The job, you come to work when you want to.
The job is real casual
you
right now. You
can't go to work because it's raining outside.
Yeah, that's real casual.
Very casual.
Yeah, I might slip. It's snowing in Michigan. I gotta stay home.
Oh, goodness, we hear it all.
Yeah, absolutely. It's snowing in Michigan. How many months out of the year is it snowing in Michigan?
Too many for me. I'm ready to wrap this up.
And I'm saying, so how do we help them to become the leaders? It's like we have to parent them again. We literally have to go back and undo what we can, but inundate them with something that's healthy.
How do we know when they're ready, though? Because we talked about us listening to them to really hear what they're saying and to understand them and not to just jump in and solve the problem. But are they ready for this message? Or are they ready and willing to change?
I think at some place they get to a point where they're frustrated and they want to know a way out, but they don't see one. They want something different, and you know what? Change doesn't happen, by osmosis. It's not going to happen just by hoping, but someone is going to have to introduce them to change. And apparently, we're going to have to be the ones.
So part of that is being a role model.
And so are we that?
I am.
That's the question.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Conversations with Jen and Mel. Please join us every Monday at 8 p.m. for new episodes on Facebook, YouTube, Rick.TV, and the Rick TV app by way of Apple TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Join us again next time on Conversations with Jen and Mel.